Shalom and welcome to our new moon celebration, which is a new month. Um, we are not going to keep you guys very long tonight, but we did want to discuss a few things with all of the things that um, we are beginning to see to happen unto us. We know that we are getting closer and closer to the redemption of the children of Israel. And Yahweh is in the process of picking who he's going to allow to go to war for him. There are so many, for those who have been in the military, you understand that there are so many different positions and roles that has to be played. It's not just a situation of soldiers. There are people that are in charge of logistics. There's those that are in charge of health. There's those that are in charge of making sure there's food to eat. There are all types of roles to be played in any military operation. And Yahweh is preparing to go to war with Lucifer and his people. So Yahweh is in the process of picking who he's going to allow to go to war with him. And we are fighting for a spot, whether we know it or not. A lot of times we get so caught up into what I think, what I feel, and what I believe that we don't understand that we are losing our spot because somebody else is coming directly behind us, eager to go through all of those changes to have that spot that we are easily walking away from. We're going to begin tonight in Deuteronomy chapter 8, and we're going to read verses 1 through 20.
Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse 1. All the commandments which I command you this day shall you observe to do, that you may live and multiply and go in and possess the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers.
So the whole setup about us prospering, it is kind of interesting that when you go to a lot of today's churches, they want to talk about prosperity, prosperity, prosperity. In the beginning, prosperity of the children of Israel was completely based upon following the commandments of Yahweh Elohim. All the commandments which I command you this day shall you observe to do, that you may live and multiply. That's prosperity. Because to cause you to live and multiply, you have to then have more increase to be able to feed all of those that you can continue to multiply. Here is prosperity. You find people that think that the prosperity part of the Most High showed up in the New Testament with their prosperity doctrine. Yahweh began with the prosperity of the children of Israel. That's why he took things from us so that we could understand prosperity. Go ahead.
Verse 2. And you shall remember all the way which Yahweh your Elohim led you these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble you and to prove you, to know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or no.
Right. So then these things had a purpose, to humble you and to prove you. Why does he have to humble you after you have been servants for a just ungodly amount of time? You have been ruled over with rigor. Why do you need to be humbled after going through that? You would think that somebody who has like all of this money and they're rich, they have everything that someone could ask for, that those people need to be humble. Why would a group of poor servants who have been mistreated and misused, why would they need to be humbled? They're about to get the greatest gift known to man, the favor of Yahweh. And he's trying to humble them before he gives it to them. because he knows what that will do. And that's exactly what it did. Our head blew up so big you couldn't fit it in the tent. Go ahead.
You know, the sad part is our heads started blowing up before we even got out the wilderness. Just knowing that we had him on our side and he constantly provided was enough for us to start ego tripping.
First, and into factions. And then ego tripping against one another. As if it wasn't still all Yahweh's house. And we still suffer from the same ailment. Click up into groups, and then this group downs this group. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse 3. And he humbled you, and suffered you to hunger, and fed you with manna, which you knew not, neither did your fathers know, that he might make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh does man live. Your raiment waxed not old upon you, neither did your foot swell these 40 years. You shall also consider in your heart, that as a man chasteneth his son, so Yahweh your Elohim chasteneth you.
Let me tell you something. If you got the same pair of shoes 40 years, that's some different kind of shoe. That must be them Buster Brown. You know what I'm saying? That's that stuff you usually get them things from Seals. You get them shoes from Seals, you can set them on fire. And walk back in there and just go, and then put them on and be like, ooh, they're a little warm. That's it. You couldn't even tie them up. They were like them tough skin jeans. Remember them tough skin? Oh, man. Them was jeans. This stuff that they got these kids wearing now, talking about, yeah, this is denim. They had to change it, denim. Because it was jeans where we at. You can fall and slide a quarter mile. And you just got up and just, man, I done slipped up. That's it. These things was flame resistant. They was fall resistant, cut resistant. Every now and then, if you passed them down about 3 children, you would then have a hole somewhere. And then we had some patches that they would put on there. You couldn't walk. You walked like a robot for about a week. They were so hard. Those was real jeans. You ain't have real stuff no more. And they'll charge your arm and a leg for this little play stuff. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Therefore you shall keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in his ways and to fear him. For Yahweh your Elohim brings you into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains and depths that spring out of valleys and hills. A land of wheat and barley and vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of oil, olive, and honey.
See, we don't even hear prosperity in that. See? We have transferred everything into a monetary value so we don't see or feel the prosperity in this. This is self-sufficiency. That, what we just read, is you being self-sufficient, not having to go clock in at somebody's job. We don't even understand that that's part of our curse. No matter how much money we make, think about the amount of time that you have to spend away from your family. You got to get up in the morning. If you got to be at work at 8, you had to get up at 6. All that is time away from your family. Then when you get off work, you still got to then drive back home. And then if we send those kids to a school, those kids have been around people who we don't know for the majority of the day. We get a couple of hours with them before it's time to go to sleep, if we get that much. See, we don't even understand what true prosperity is. This is prosperity. You get to deal with your own family. Go ahead.
I mean, you talking about prosperity. How much does a pomegranate cost?
Hey, pomegranate, it ain't cheap.
Exactly.
And if you got, all of these things, then we trading with one another, but we still not at a situation where we got to go clock in and be away from our family. And we don't consider the monetary value in that. Go ahead.
A land wherein you shall eat bread without scarceness. You shall not lack anything in it. A land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you may dig brass.
Everything you need is right here. Yet we want to go and deal with the other nations. Go ahead.
When you have eaten and are full, then you shall bless Yahweh your Elohim for the good land which he has given you. Beware that you forget not Yahweh your Elohim in not keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes, which I command you this day.
Right. When you have eaten and are full. See, this is when the head swell up again. I did that. Go ahead.
At least when you have eaten and are full, and have built goodly houses, and dwelt therein, and when your herds and your flocks multiply, and your silver and your gold is multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied.
See, now we think we in prosperity. When, and he didn't say if, your herds and flocks multiply. He said when your herds and your flocks multiply and your silver and your gold is multiplied. That was going to come. Now they think that they are prosperous. Now here come the big head. They was already prosperous in the beginning. Go ahead.
Then your heart will be lifted up, and you forget Yahweh your Elohim, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage.
It is so sad to see what little bit will cause people's heart to be lifted up against Yahweh. It is really sad. You start to understand why Yahweh had his prophet say, you have sold yourself for naught. This is what you let come between you and your salvation? Was this worth your salvation? Go ahead.
Verse 15. Who led you through that great and terrible wilderness, wherein were fiery serpents and scorpions, in drought, where there was no water, who brought you forth water out of the rock of flint, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your fathers knew not, that he might humble you, and that he might prove you.
That he might prove you.
To do you good at your latter end.
And
you say in your heart, my power and the might of mine hand has gotten me this wealth.
Right. That's what we said. You know, I got those degrees. I went to college. Yeah, I pledged Alpha Beta Kappa. Who did that? Me. That's who. Okay. Go ahead.
But you shall remember Yahweh your Elohim, for it is he that gives you power to get wealth.
We don't believe that. We don't believe that. We don't believe that it was Yahweh that gave us power to get wealth. We think we did this on our own. Because, see, we think that Yahweh found us when we found him. It's hard for us to understand, even when we was out way back when doing our dirt, Yahweh was still saying, that's going to be my servant one day right there. You ain't talking about the dude right there with the shovel in his hand. Yeah. He just don't know it yet. He was protecting us before we even knew who he was. Then we think because we found him that he just found us. Go ahead.
That he may establish his covenant which he sware unto your fathers, as it is this day. And it shall be, if you do at all forget Yahweh your Elohim, and walk after other gods, and serve them, and worship them, I testify against you this day that you shall surely perish. As the nations which Yahweh destroyed before your face, so shall you perish, because you would not be obedient unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim.
Right. And then we have to consider even the man who's bringing forth all of these things, who Yahweh is bringing the angel to give him all of this understanding. Understand, they were killing all the children when Moshe was born. Yet Yahweh don't talk to Moshe there about 80 years later. Yahweh had already done some things for him, even driving him out from amongst the Egyptians. Yahweh was there the whole time. Yahweh ain't said nothing to him. Long time before Yahweh shows, okay, this is my servant. But you was born for this. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 13. Sometimes we counting too fast. Imagine if Moshe's life ended at 41. He's just known as a murderer and a fugitive. At 41, Moshe is a murderer and a fugitive. That's it. He murdered a man and then fled from Egypt. If his life ended after that, if nothing else happened after that, that's it. That's his legacy. But that also should be a testament to us that if we do what we're supposed to do, if Yahweh could use a murderer and a fugitive, what could he do with us if we actually listen to him? Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 13 and verse 1. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto you, saying, let us go after other gods, which you have not known, and let us serve them.
Now, people are not going to be that bold and tell you that they are inviting you to a party for a different God. They're going to invite you to just a casual thing, and later on you're going to start witnessing some things. You're going to start seeing, wait a minute, is that Catwoman and Dogfather on your wall over there? What are they doing in here? Then you start noticing different things that are happening. They're not just going to come out and tell you, let's go worship other gods. They're going to say, let's just get together for coffee and tea and some crumpets. Give them a couple minutes, and here come that other God. And sometimes you might find out that other God is them, because they invited you over there to come and worship them. Come and see my greatness. Come and hear my great wisdom. Right? You find out, oh, you the God we supposed to be coming over here for. Right. Go ahead.
You shall not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for Yahweh your Elohim proveth you.
Yahweh proves you. See, there's certain things that Yahweh is going to allow to happen in your midst. See, a lot of things happen, and we say, man, that person going through it. Yeah, part of that may be for them, but the other part of it for you. Because he said, I'm going to prove you to see what you going to do. See, they're going to be who they're going to be. They're going to do what they're going to do. The question is, what are you going to do? What manner of man or woman are you going to be? And are you going to let somebody else decide what kind of man or woman you're going to be? Go ahead.
To know whether you love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul.
Right. And that is the paraphrase of what I said. Do you love Yahweh with all your heart and with all your soul? Well, if you let somebody else decide what manner of man or woman you're going to be, then you can't possibly love Yahweh with all your heart and soul. If somebody else is deciding what manner of individual you're going to be. Go ahead.
You shall walk after Yahweh your Elohim and fear him and keep his commandments and obey his voice, and you shall serve him and cleave unto him. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death.
Right. See, what we do is we protect the false prophets and the dreamer of fake dreams. We protect them. And what happens is they get to live another day to go and steal another soul. They're able to continue to keep doing the same thing, stealing more and more souls, because nobody calls them out for what it is they're doing. Go ahead.
Because he has spoken to turn you away from Yahweh your Elohim.
Right, but do we see that when that happens? Because see, it comes out real smooth, real soft. It's buttery goodness. Just glide right over that hot bread. Oh, it was so smooth. But they speaking to turn you against your Elohim. with cunning and crafty words. But Yahweh is proving you. It's not for them. They gonna be who they gonna be. They not gonna change who they are. See, if iron sharpen iron, that means at some point Yahweh got to let some bad iron come in the door. We can't just beat up on each other all the time. At some point, every martial artist got to spar with somebody. And if you spar with your friends, y'all like each other. So, y'all, I'm not trying to, kick Kish in the face, you know what I'm saying? And when his face is swole, you know what I'm saying? And I got Abby looking at me all strange. You kick my husband in his face, But if there's somebody that's in that same dojo that just happen to not like Kish, oh man, his sparring is about to step up on another level. Because this dude is not sparring to make Kish feel good. He's sparring because he, when they go, when a brother goes, oh man, this is about to be a sparring match right here. This is how Yahweh proves and trains us. So he's got to let a few of those come through. Do you recognize yours when they came through the door? Do you recognize when they come? That's my sparring partner right there. Go ahead, bro.
Which brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust you out of the way which Yahweh your Elohim commanded you to walk in, so shall you put the evil away from the midst of you. If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom.
Oh no, not the wife of your bosom. See, that's where we get extra weak right there. See, this is a big problem with the children of Israel. This is why Yahweh primarily said, don't go and marry strange women, because they're going to turn your heart against me. And that's exactly what ended up happening. That's totally different from a foreign woman who decides that she is going to be a proselyte. She's going to follow everything that Yahweh, our Elohim, says. That ain't the same as marrying a heathen. And Yahweh warned us. Now, we're coming into the backside of this culture. We have already entered in some of these things with agreements already, with covenants already. We don't get in the word and then just go get out of all of those covenants because, hey, I did some of this. Hey, Yahweh called you right there. That's where you start working from. If it don't work after that, then it don't work after that. But you don't try to go and undo everything from everything you done did in your life because now you done found out the word. Go ahead.
Or your friend, which is as your own soul, entice you secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known, you nor your fathers.
Right. See, people not going to do you like that. What they're going to do is invite you to come when you're supposed to be somewhere else. That's what they're going to do. You're supposed to be over here doing something for Yahweh, but they invite you over here. Yahweh proving you to see if you're going to do what you're supposed to do. Oh no, I got to do this thing for Yahweh. And I can't be late. Yahweh proving you. He ain't proving them. They going to do exactly what they going to do. Matter of fact, that might be the very reason why he even called them. Come here, I got a job for you. I need you to prove them. And once that job is done, thank you for coming out. God bless. Good night. Next. Go ahead.
Namely of the gods of the people which are round about you, near unto you, or far off from you, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. You shall not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him. Neither shall your eye pity him, neither shall you spare, neither shall you conceal him.
Conceal him. You shall not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him, neither shall your eye pity him. See, this is where we get into trouble. See, we let people talk us into some pity. And the very one you leave alive now will be leading a revolt against your children in 40 years. Go ahead.
Verse 9. But you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. And you shall stone him with stones that he die.
You see why we would conceal him. See, if those people have given us a bunch of niceties to make us feel a certain way about them, it says this individual need to be the first one to lay hands on them. So they done got off in our heart and our mind. So now this is why we want to conceal them, because we don't want to be the first one to execute judgment. So we run from judgment. Go ahead.
Because he has sought to thrust you away from Yahweh your Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. And all Israel shall hear and fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this is among you.
Right. When you discipline something and deal with it the right way, everybody else gonna learn. When the person that steals get his hand cut off and he show up and everybody see, that's what happened to you when you get caught stealing. They're going to take care of all the stealing after that. Somebody drop something, Jake gonna be, hey man, you dropped this. How far you ran? 2 miles. Because I ain't gonna get my hand chopped off. Because I ain't want nobody to think I took this. You dropped it. Right. They gonna take care of their business. See? That you do no more. You cut that evil off in the land. Nobody else gonna want to do it. You get somebody lying or gossiping, let them get a part of that tongue cut off. Everybody else, they gonna stop gossiping right away. They be like, hey, you wanna gossip? No, you see it? You see that right there? I ain't trying to do that. That's gonna take care of that business. Once righteous judgment is executed, they're gonna have to make a couple examples. Everything else gonna take care of the business. And all they got to do is know that it's people around who are going to execute the righteous judgment of Yahweh, and the evil will cease out of the land. People do evil because judgment lingers. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 13 and verse 12. If you shall hear say in one of your cities, which Yahweh your Elohim has given you to dwell there, saying, certain men, the children of Belial, are gone out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known, then shall you inquire, and make search, and act diligently. And, behold, if it be truth, and the thing certain, that such abomination is wrought among you, you shall surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword.
We don't smite the city. We don't smite the place where we find out. We go hang out even more. Go ahead.
Destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle thereof with the edge of the sword. And you shall gather all the spoil of it into the midst of the street thereof, and shall burn with fire the city, and all the spoil thereof every whit. For Yahweh your Elohim, and it shall be an heap forever, it shall not be built again. And there shall cleave naught of the cursed thing to your hand, that Yahweh may turn from the fierceness of his anger, and show you mercy, and have compassion upon you, and multiply you, as he has sworn unto your fathers.
Right. Now, what happens if this is not done? What happens is, now there's a curse in the land causing judgment to go through the whole land. So at one point, you look at this and you say, man, Yahweh was harsh. Esaac is being real harsh right now. I tell you what, if the business is not taken care of, then this curse goes throughout the whole land. So you take care of that business where it happened, or you have to deal with it everywhere. Make your choice. Go ahead.
When you shall hearken to the voice of Yahweh Elohim, to keep all his commandments which I command you this day, to do that which is right in the eyes of Yahweh, your Elohim.
All right, let's go to Judges chapter 2. Judges chapter 2, and let's start at verse 1.
And an angel of Yahweh came up from Gilgal to Bochim, and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt, and have brought you out of the land which I swear unto your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you. And you shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land. You shall throw down their altars, but you have not obeyed my voice. Why have you done this? Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you, but they shall be as thorns in your side, and their gods shall be a snare unto you.
They will be as thorns in your sides, beginning because you didn't do what I told you to do. So now, instead of getting rid of them, I'm going to leave them there, but now they have a purpose to be there. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when the angel of Yahweh spake these words unto all the children of Israel, that the people lifted up their voice and wept.
You know, it's amazing how much we want to cry after we do something stupid. Then we want to cry all over the covenants, and we want to do all this. We want to just pass out. We want to do all these things. That same zeal should have been there before. Go ahead.
And they called the name of that place Bochim, and they sacrificed there unto Yahweh. And when Joshua had let the people go, the children of Israel went every man unto his inheritance to possess the land. And the people served Yahweh all the days of Joshua.
You see how Israel operate? They served Yahweh all the time of Joshua, because Joshua didn't play. See, Joshua was taught by Moshe. So they had fear of Joshua. Said, no, every time we do something, he gonna know what it is we do. If we get ready to worship another God, he gonna see us coming. See, Joshua was green at first. He said, hey man, the people war is in the camp, Moshe. Moshe said, man, that's not war, young man. That's the sound of them that parted. Do I hear? Joshua was being trained. He was learning Israel and learning Yahweh at the same time. So when it comes time for him, he know what to do. He know what he dealing with, and they know he gonna take care of that business. So everybody doing what they supposed to do, as long as they see that man right there. But that's been our biggest problem. We will walk in the word as long as we fear the man who Yahweh is using. Go ahead.
In all the days of the elders that outlived Joshua, who had seen all the great works of Yahweh that he did for Israel, and Joshua the son of Nun, the servant of Yahweh, died, being 110 years old. And they buried him in the border of his inheritance in Timnath-Heres, in the mount of Ephraim, on the north side of the hill Gaash. And also all the generation were gathered unto their fathers. Verse 10, and also all that generation were gathered unto their fathers. And there arose another generation after them, which knew not Yahweh.
Hold on. How did another generation come up who does not know Yahweh? How is that possible in Yahweh's land, in his inheritance that he has given unto us? How does anybody come up and not know Yahweh? What was our focus about that a whole generation could come up that does not know Yahweh? There's something seriously wrong with our focus. Go ahead.
Nor yet the works which he had done for Israel. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of Yahweh, and served Baalim. And they forsook Yahweh Elohim of their fathers, which brought them up out of the land of Egypt, and followed after other gods, of the gods of the people that were around about them, and bowed themselves unto them, and provoked Yahweh to anger. And they forsook Yahweh, and served Baal and Ashtaroth. And the anger of Yahweh was hot against Israel, And he delivered them into the hands of spoilers that spoiled them.
Uh-huh.
And he sold them into the hands of their enemies round about, so that they could not any longer stand before their enemies.
Right. And this is the beginning of the book of Judges. This goes on over and over and over again. This shows how Yahweh deals with the children of Israel. This is how we know that the imposters, one of the ways we know that the imposters that are in the land are not Yahweh's chosen people by ethnicity. People who decide that they're going to be a proselyte, they can join unto Yahweh's heritage. But if you come in trying to take over, claiming to be the inheritance, there's a problem. But Yahweh's way of dealing with his people is by putting them in captivity. So when a group of people is walking around saying that they are the children of Israel, but they can't produce to you any captivity, they cannot be the people of this book. This situation goes over and over and over again before we even get to longer captivities. This is how Yahweh began dealing with the children of Israel. This is the beginning of our rulership, and we're having constant captivities every time we get off into something else. So when somebody calls us anti-Semitic, when they don't know what that even means, because that ain't them, and we call them out for it, and they say, well, would you like for me to show you some death camps in Auschwitz? You go right ahead, and I'm going to show you some slave ships. Now, I'm going to find mine in the Torah. Now, I'm going to see where you find some Auschwitz death camps. See what we can find there, because Yahweh is full of prophecies, okay? I can find what he wrote about the things that we were going to go through. So let's see what we're going to find Auschwitz in this book. I'm not saying it wasn't a horrific event. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, it ain't in this book. And if Yahweh is an Elohim who tells us this is what Yahweh says his power is. I declare a thing before it happens. He has prophets. He uses prophets. How is it then that he would not write about or have any prophets dealing with the most horrific thing that would ever happen to you? But he left out those details. But you're the chosen people. But he left out the details of the most horrific thing that was going to happen to you. I go in this book, and the most horrific thing that has happened to us, I can find it line by line in detail. Go ahead.
Verse 15. Whithersoever they went out, the hand of Yahweh was against them for evil, as Yahweh had said, and as Yahweh had sworn unto them, and they were greatly distressed. Nevertheless, Yahweh raised up judges, which delivered them out of the hand of those that spoiled them. And yet they would not hearken unto their judges, but they went a-whoring after other gods, and bowed themselves unto them. They turned quickly out of the way which their fathers walked in, obeying the commandments of Yahweh, but they did not so. And when Yahweh raised them up judges, then Yahweh was with the judge.
Here go Israel.
And delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge.
All the days of the judge. Go ahead.
For it repented Yahweh because of their groanings by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them. And it came to pass, when the judge was dead, that they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers in following other gods to serve them, and to bow down unto them. They ceased not from their own doings, nor from their stubborn way.
And it came to pass when the judge was dead. So as long as the judge, somebody who we can put the power of Yahweh on and said the Spirit is with this individual. See, this is also the same way that we revoke. We have to make it be that the Spirit is not with that individual, and then we can revolt against Yahweh by claiming we're revolting against that individual. This is the beginning stages of Miriam saying, we all holy. So the first thing was to make Moshe not as holy as he was. So you have to then make him on point with regular men. So bring him down and step us up so that we're all on the same level. After that, it was going to be a complete betrayal anyway. Yahweh just jumped in and dealt with the business before it happened. But those were the stages of the betrayal. To make him not be what he is to Yahweh. Go ahead.
And the anger of Yahweh was hot against Israel, and he said, because that this people hath transgressed my covenant which I commanded their fathers, and have not hearkened unto my voice, I also will not henceforth drive out any from before them of the nations which Yahshua left when he died.
Right. So now these things are left among us as a judgment, as a way to prove us, to see who we are going to be. Go ahead.
That through them I may prove Israel, whether they will keep the way of Yahweh to walk therein, as their fathers did keep it, or not.
Right. Have we considered that there may be beings, there may be situations that are purposely put in our midst by Yahweh to see if we are going to keep his word or not? Have we even considered that? Go ahead.
Therefore Yahweh left those nations without driving them out hastily, neither delivered he them into the hand of Yahshua.
Right. All right, let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 17. See, just like the 300 that lapped, Yahweh is separating among men and women who he is going to let go to war with him, calling upon his holy name and being directed by his angel. 1 Samuel chapter 17, and let's start at verse 32.
And David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Saul said to David, you are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for you are but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth.
The first thing you need to understand about people is when they can't do something, they automatically say you can't do it either. You can't go against him. He's a warrior. You just a little pretty little brown thing. Look at you. You're just so cute. I don't know whether to fight you, hug you, and kiss you. Look at you. Go ahead.
And David said unto Saul, your servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock.
And let me tell you something. This might sound one way when you're reading it. You ever seen a bear up close? He looked like a big old sloppy thing. You'll find out that bear can move. We talking this a big animal, but we talking boat kind of fast. Okay? We talking about, and we be looking at it, you be like, man, that brother can run. If that brother slip, that bear gonna eat him. This is a huge animal, and it can move. Getting anywhere close to a lion. You ever notice when they even have the lions at the zoo, you realize you can't get nowhere near them? You even see something up close and you see what kind of fierceness that this animal has. Up close, that has got to be the scariest thing ever. We talk about something whose head is this big and it's up on you. Go ahead, bro.
And I went out after him and smote him and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and smote him and slew him. Your servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he has defied the armies of the living Elohim.
You know, this is one of those things right here where it shows David's love for the flock, that he would put his life in danger to go and recover a sheep out of the mouth of a spoiler. So every now and then, if you're watching them animal channels, you'll see, you know, the animal go back and get their baby from the lion. Now it's gonna take more than just them, but they'll go back and you realize how tough their skin is, because you saw him in that lion mouth and you like, oh no, he gone. It's a done deal. He out of here. And then about 4 or 5 of them turn around and run at the lion, and the lion drop him out of his mouth, and the thing just get right back up. And next thing you know, he back up the hill. You like, look at that. They went and got Pokey-Doo. Look at that. But that takes some gumption to go run back at, you know, a herd of lionesses and try to go take that food out of their mouth. You got to be about that action. Go ahead.
Verse 37. David said, moreover, Yahweh that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and Yahweh be with you.
Right. Saul's a big old punk. He's scared to go. Then he gonna let the little pretty boy. First he tries to talk about him. You ain't gonna be able to do that, because I can't do it. You ain't gonna be able to do it either. Well, I've done such and such. So David gives his resume. Well, go then. It's king. It's king. Go. Go on, little boy. Go ahead.
And you know, part of the problem is David has training that Saul don't know anything about.
Mm-hmm.
So you got your whole army, so you know they've been trained, but you looking at him and like, you ain't no soldier.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know what Yahweh has put me through already for training.
Right. So Yahweh was already proving David by just having him watch the sheep. And they thought this was a disrespectful job. Even when they got ready to anoint the children. You see, there's one more, but he keep the sheep. You can't be talking about him. I got some warrior sons. You see that boy over there? Do you see that boy? Look at him. That my boy right there. You can't be talking about the little pretty one. The bit with the sheep. He be playing music and stuff. He not a man's man. Right. Yahweh said, that's him. Anoint him. That's him. All these warrior looking brothers. Yahweh said, that's him. He don't look like them. Go ahead.
And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put an helmet of brass upon his head. Also he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these.
Right. Some people would say this is disrespectful. You have the greatest weapon ever. This is the best stuff if you got it from the king. But David said, I can't go with this stuff. Go ahead.
For I have not proved them.
This ain't been proved. See, when you prove something, it has been in combat. You know the inner workings of it. You've been through some things with it. See, when we go through too much with one another, we say, hey man, this relationship probably ain't gonna work out. We've been through so much. Yahweh might be looking at that on the other hand saying, because y'all been through so much, this is what's gonna make this work. Go ahead.
And David put them off him. And he took his staff in his hand and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook.
Now this don't sound like a good idea. You got probably the best sword around, You got all of this weaponry. This sounds like something that you would choose the best stuff. But he said, I ain't used this stuff. I know what I know. The things I know how to use, that is what I want to go to war with. And Yahweh doing the same thing. You have a whole lot of people come up, say a whole lot of nice words. Plant early for good corn. Yahweh is wonderful. Oh, he is more than a conqueror. Oh, I love him. Oh, praise his holy name. Oh, they got a whole bunch of sayings. But he can't trust them people. Because he ain't never did nothing with them. They ain't been proved. Go ahead.
And put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David. And the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, and ruddy, and of a fair countenance.
Right. He disdained him because, do you see this little pretty little brown thing? He look like a drop of chocolate. That's what he said. And he was of a fair countenance. Do you see this pretty? Who brought Shipritya up here? He's too pretty to be a warrior. Why is he even up here? Go ahead.
And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog, that you cometh to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give your flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field.
I tell you what, David was not lacking in confidence. Go ahead.
Then said David to the Philistine.
But that's what happened when you have been proven. Well, some people will say, "Oh, that person arrogant." What he said, man, you seen what I did to that lion and that bear? I'm gonna do the same thing to that Philistine. I know y'all scared of him because he big, but I guess y'all ain't never seen a lion up close. That's what happened when you've been proved. Go ahead.
Then said David to the Philistine, You cometh to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield. But I come to you in the name of Yahweh of hosts, Elohim of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied.
Exactly. So, giant, you are grossly outnumbered. I know I look small, but you grossly outweighed. Because the angel that's behind me is much bigger than you. Go ahead.
This day will Yahweh deliver you into my hand, and I'll smite you, and take your head from you. And I will give the carcass of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth.
Now, keep in mind now, all the tall soldier dudes with Saul have been running from this man. And the little pretty dude that show up with the rocks is talking mad stuff. Not backing down at all. Saul not even running up on Goliath. Hey, no, I ain't going over there. But I mean, would you be, if you don't have Yahweh on your side, you should be hesitant. Said them Philistines had an extra finger on each hand and an extra toe on each foot. Man, what's wrong with that dude's hands? Go ahead.
Even when you think of Saul wasn't short in stature either.
No.
He stood above everybody.
Right. That's what made people think he was a soldier in here, because he was a soldier up here. Up here don't measure in here. You know how many tall, weak brothers we done seen come through this door? Straight henpecked. Go ahead, bro.
That all the earth may know that there is a Elohim in Israel. And all this assembly shall know that Yahweh saves not with sword and spear, for the battle is Yahweh's, and he will give you into our hands. And it came to pass, when the Philistine arose and came and drew near to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistines.
Ran toward the army. Everybody else was running away. Go ahead.
And David put his hand in his bag and took thence a stone and slang it and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth.
See, because he had proved this method, he knew he was good at this. This is the method that he knows how to use. This is the method that he is going to go to war with because he has proved this weaponry. I know how to use this rock. I know it may not look like a glorious weapon to you, but I know how to use this. I am proficient in this. I don't care how well of a weapon that you have. This weapon that I have practiced with, I am very good with. I have proved it. It works. This is what I'm going to war with. And if we let Yahweh do those things with us, that's what he will say with us. He said, I know Esaac don't look like much, but I done went through a few battles with him. I'm going to use him for this. I know that sister over there might not look like much, but I done proved her in the battle that she in. I'm taking her with me. But if we run from every proving, when Yahweh goes to pick his weaponry, we're going to find that we are two that's still left in the shed. Go ahead.
So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine, and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran, and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled.
Right. And you have to deal with not just that part of what has happened. Yahweh was with David so much indeed that David was able to prophesy what he was going to do to the Philistine. And Yahweh made sure that he was able to do everything that proceeded out of his mouth. We have a lot of things that are going to come upon us, and the question is, are we going to allow the things to take place so that we can be proven before Yahweh? That's all that we're going to do for tonight. Enjoy your new moon. Shalom.
Shalom.